Previously on HBO's The Sopranos.
You're always going to have organized crime. Someone's always going to surface to serve these needs.
Got redundant upper management, bleeds off half the kick. We take them out.
It didn't have to be this way.
Previously on House of Meadow. What ended up happening with your uncle's home and the development? Was there any official hearing on the issue? Well, turns out that land's not good anyway. Close by, where other construction was already underway, it was discovered that the soil was contaminated, and the whole development thing became moot.
I feel like I've been stabbed in the heart.
He's been staying in the guest house. Patrick wasn't too happy. Patrick, have you been listening to anything I've been saying? He's leaving as soon as Little Paulie gets back in town. But Meadow, this wasn't necessary. The government offered to pay for his relocation and living expenses the whole time. He'd rather bunk up with us? Why? Wouldn't a guy who's lived alone his whole life want to continue that way?
Fanablo. Peter's got get on by the word.
Yes, if we're talking about your normal, average Joe Schmo. But we're talking about Uncle Paulie. You know how he is with superstitions and how he likes everything just so. He thinks the government will put him up somewhere that's wired up and has cameras and other monitoring devices. Then he continues on. You know, your uncle's a lot smarter than you think, but you try to act naive and look the other way because it's easier. Choose your battles, Patrick. But I've got to get to a meeting in the city. And then you went to the city for a meeting. Someone else I hadn't seen in a while. Go on. People ask me why I do this. Was there a certain distinct moment in time when I decided to be okay with it? I can only speak for myself. But for me, it was when I realized just how fucked up this little arrangement was. What arrangement is that? Let's start with the Declaration of Independence. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's news to me. This whole social compact, do good, be good, do the right thing, and everything will be all good. Yeah. So I get to this meeting. Carmine continues. Things they did, they'd never get away with today.
Teddy, right?
Yeah.
Sir, you don't speak English. Come posso arrivare a Brooklyn?
Rusty!
Una Sangiovese, we had a quattro gatti.
You didn't start this life 10 minutes ago. You probably know these things, but I'll repeat them anyway, just in case. Don't let people know just how smart you actually are.
I'm willing to move forward. Let the past be bygones.
Put it all behind us.
Yeah.
Your brother Billy, whatever happened there,
All right, then.
Whatever happened there?
the shooting,
Whatever happened there?
God rest his soul.
Keep your mouth shut. Especially when your mouth's open because you're reaching onto another guy's plate to take his food. Sometimes you gotta roll the dice high.
Well, you do what you gotta do.
I think it's drug trafficking.
Oh, and stay away from the drugs. Some of these guys still can't help themselves. And then they wonder why everyone turns up dead, in prison, ratting. And you think things used to be bad? Nowadays, this stuff really is poison. Look at all the overdoses you see and hear about every day in the news. It's just not worth it. Well, I think it's safe to say that New York and I didn't exactly start off on the right foot all those years back.
I'm sorry, do I know you?
Hey, you got a little cream on your mouth there, sweetie. Be happy to add to it.
What?
Excuse me.
Lucky guy, her dad. Must be fun tucking her in at night, huh?
Hey, best to your dad.
God, you know, part of me wishes I hadn't said anything to my father, but another part of me is like, you sick, twisted bastard. You deserved everything you got.
What's the matter?
Nothing. Do you know a guy named Coco?
Why?
We were in the city, Little Italy, and we were having dessert, and he came up out of nowhere and just started saying all this weird stuff. How he liked to tuck me in at night, stuff like that.
Tuck you in? What exactly did he say?
He came up to us, and he asked me if I was your daughter, and then he said I had whipped cream on my mouth.
It's all right. I'll talk to somebody.
Coco was way out of line. Sometimes I just can't help but feel like it's my fault for what ended up happening with my dad. That if I hadn't told him about Coco, none of the other ensuing events would have occurred. But that is a perfect segue into our next conversation. Well, guess it's about time I get my teeth wet, huh? There's always going to be that struggle between the people who want to run a business and people who want to run an army. And then, of course, from time to time, you'll get those guys that think they're an army of one. I ask, are they ever really armies of one, though? Or is it that others turn them into soldiers, then act surprised when everything becomes a Western? Anyway, it's mostly the same industries. Waste management, gambling, construction, real estate, the port. Speaking of the port, have you heard of the Waterfront Commission? The Supreme Court recently ruled that the state of New Jersey could unilaterally withdraw from a commission created with the state of New York decades ago to combat the influence of organized crime. New Jersey lawmakers claim that changes in the industry, including the development of container shipping, has lessened the influence of organized crime and reduced the need for the commission in the first place. In fact, the state says the commission has become an impediment to economic growth. So if I'm hearing you right, there's going to be a lot more business coming up soon, down at the port. Hey, I didn't say nothing. In the mafia, there's order and structure and a chain of command.
We have to stick together.
Otherwise,
Why be in a crew? Why be a gangster?
well, maybe this is a silly question, but can you guarantee my safety? Leave it to me. I'll set it up. You'll hear from me.
Our family's been doing our Jersey business a long time with the Sopranos, in a peaceful and profitable way. And I want to keep it like that.
Stay tuned for the next House of Meadow.